Hi, I'm Alex from Lumsden Agency, and this month we're doing the catch up a little bit differently. It was going to be different anyway because this month we're giving the whole thing to Rachel Natoli from Lokahi Foundation. Rachel, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We got through all of 2020 without having to do a Zoom catch up, and then here we are halfway through 2021, and thank you, Bondi. We're on Zoom again. But Rachel, you and I met at an event where you were speaking, and I heard your story, and it moved me so much that I reached out and said, what do you need? What can we do to help? Briefly, for people that are watching, give us a rundown of your story, briefly.
So I was in a domestic and family abuse relationship for almost 8 years, and I left in 2015 with my 2.5-year-old twins. That relationship was physically, emotionally, sexually, and financially abusive. And basically we had a really tough time, not just being in that relationship, but after we left. We had 5 different homes in 7 weeks, moving from our family home to a friend of a friend's house, then into a motel, then crisis accommodation before we finally found our own place to live. And the one thing that kept me strong through all of that was having this amazing caseworker. I'd been referred to her from the domestic violence line before I'd left my ex-husband, and she was the one that kept me strong all the way through. She was the one that kept reminding me why I'd left and why it was so important that I stayed away from that relationship, because often we feel that when everything's going wrong and things are really tough, the easiest option is to go back to what we know. And she's the one that got me through it all. She helped me navigate all of those services. And so once we've moved into our new safe house, I wanted to do something to help other women and children who may be in similar situations. And so I decided to start the Lokahi Foundation.
It's an amazing story. It blows my mind every time I hear it. I guess, talk to me a little bit about the foundation itself and what is it that specifically that you guys do every day for people, and I guess who are your main sort of clients, if that's the word?
Yeah, so we do a couple of things. The main thing that we do is provide caseworkers to women and children that are either in abusive relationships, leaving abusive relationships, or have already left. You know, it was a very long process, and I started it in 2016, and we finally opened our office in January of this year. Obviously, COVID slowed that down a little bit last year, and we took our caseworkers on in March. So what we also do is go and speak to schools and corporates and sporting clubs about domestic and family abuse, what it really looks like, and give them a chance to ask some questions once they've heard my story in that safe environment. And then talking about what they can do to make a difference, how they can support somebody that they suspect might be in that relationship, and the importance of gender equality and respect.
If somebody sees somebody else in their life that needs help, or somebody themselves needs help, what's a good way for them to, I guess, in a very non-confrontational way, get in contact with you and sort of reach out?
Look, it's really hard to support somebody that's in a domestic violence relationship. But I think the one thing that we say to people is, if you suspect somebody's in that relationship, or if they've been confident enough or brave enough to actually tell you that they are in an abusive relationship, the best thing that you can do is believe them and support them. If you're in the eastern suburbs and you want to come and speak to us yourself, whether that's because you're a victim survivor or because it's one of your friends or, as I said, family members or colleagues, then you can always come and talk to us. Our number's on our website. You know, you're welcome to call us, and people can self-refer. They don't just have to be referred from another organisation or service.
And I guess one of the reasons we're on Zoom today is because you guys are based in Bondi Junction. Was there a specific reasoning around choosing Bondi Junction?
The reason I wanted to be based in Bondi Junction was because I was living in the eastern suburbs when I was in an abusive relationship, and I actually lived in Randwick, and the support service that I was getting my caseworker from was in Maroubra. And there was no reason for me to go to Maroubra. I never went there. And so it was really hard to explain on the few times that I did meet her why I was going to Maroubra. And I had to tell my ex-husband where I was going, because if somebody saw me and told him, then I would have been in even more trouble. So I figured that the best thing that we could do to be able to support the women that are still in those relationships or in the process of leaving, and often those women are being tracked or they're terrified of being seen where they shouldn't be, was to be based somewhere that they would often go. And I felt like if we're in Bondi Junction, people can drive here, there's parking, you know, you get 2 or 3 hours free at Westfield, you can get the bus here, you can get the train here. So it's really central for people to be able to access it. So there are so many reasons that you could pretend that you were in this area while you're seeking our support. I wanted to be able to give women and children that cover story to protect them.
Last question. If people are hearing this and, like me, you are inspiring or touching or moving them, how can they help? What do you need from people?
The number one thing that we need is financial donations. I don't think there are many charities that don't, but you know, because the main service that we provide is caseworkers, we have to, you know, pay for them, and they're not cheap. They do a really great job. They work hard. It's very stressful. It's very emotionally exhausting for them. As a frontline service that's dealing directly with victim survivors, we need to be able to provide qualified professional workers, and so we want to make sure that they're well paid and well cared for themselves.
What other services do people sort of provide?
Well, we've got a graphic designer that's volunteered for us for the last few years, almost from day one. He's amazing. We have a young lady who does all of our social media for us, and we also have a friend that is a personal trainer that is running a Taekwondo class, which he will run for free for domestic and family abuse survivors. And then people like yourself who kindly offer to donate 50% of proceeds from any commission that's made if it's linked to Lokahi in any way. And I heard on the grapevine, Alex, that you'd said that if there was any way people could possibly link it to Lokahi, you'd be happy to do that too. I'm sure you don't want to brag too much about that, but I heard that from a third party, so we really appreciate you offering to do that for us.
Doesn't sound like something I'd say, but it might have slipped out at some point.
Maybe after a glass of wine, huh?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Rachel, that's amazing. Look, if anybody is out there that needs to get in contact, feel free to contact us or Rachel directly. And if anybody has any services also that they would like to donate, again, contact us or Rachel directly. Rachel, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.